All right, I apologize there for some of the technical difficulties that I've been having here of late. Let's just see if we've got everything rolling and in proper order now that everybody can join us if they so choose to. But what we were talking about there before that break was the issues with the portal and how that may or may not have an impact next year like it did this year, for all things being with Indiana and college football as a whole, because you've got some things that need to be done to get it to the point where it's a little bit more constructed for coaches to recruit it and players to have their activity in it as well. But we'll wait and see on that. Like I said, the Hoosiers are ranking 21st overall in some of the polls that I've seen. With that, with the transfer portal, and they got a lot of kids coming in, a lot of James Madison flavor, and we're going to talk about that right now with what has come in thus far to the portal. Again, the Hoosiers have done a great job with this. They got a linebacker from UMass, a kid by the name of Logan. Pretty good linebacker, 6'3", 200 and some odd, 230 pounds. He can run. That's the one thing that's nice about him. He can run, and I don't think they'll have any problem with, with getting him up to speed for what they like to do. You've got the kid that transferred from Arizona, the safety, DJ Warnell Jr., a kid that, he's played a lot of some ball, at I think UCLA before that, transferred to Arizona, and now he's with Indiana, and he gives them that hybrid outside backer, strong safety type, another big size kid. Then the Hoosiers added a return man, scat back they call him, the Solomon Van Horst kid that is pretty electrifying when you watch him on tape, especially when he returns punts and stuff. I think that's the thing that makes him a unique figure in the background of things, and I think that's going to give them another speed guy with what they have already with Miles Price and Surratt and some of those guys, because here's another guy that adds a dimension to the fold. They've utilized him in a lot of different ways with how they did things with him, as it pertains to like speed sweeps and getting the ball in space. But he's a kid that I think's got a good chance to be a really good contributor with what they like to do in the backfield with different players and stuff. So it's going to be an interesting standpoint to see this Solomon kid, because I really like him on tape from what he showed thus far. He was electric in his punt returns and did things of that magnitude. I think he had over 500 yards rushing, 500 yards receiving in his career at JMU. So another JMU product they bringing in. Again, they've added nothing but guys that have had a body of work that can be evaluated. That's the component here that I think, what Coach Signetti has said in his pressers for the most part is he's not interested in just a guy. He's looking for the guy. And I think what he got with some of these recruits, and I'm going to talk about one that they desperately wanted, and they did not have an easy time getting this kid's commitment, because he was highly sought after a lot of the Power 5 schools. And you're talking Alabama, you're talking every SEC school wanted this kid. But we'll talk about him here in a second. But got a quick question here from David. Appreciate you watching, my friend. How do I feel about these transfer bodies? Will they hold up against Big Ten competition? That seems like the biggest question. Yeah, I think, when you evaluate these kids, that especially they're coming from James Madison, playing in the Sun Belt, no, they're not playing the competition each and every week that the Big Ten provides. So that's number one. They're at JMU because they got overlooked. They're a little bit undersized when they came out of high school, but that doesn't mean they haven't developed into a player that could walk in at another Power 5 school and play. So are they going to hit a home run with every kid that they brought in through the portal? I doubt it. But again, this is why Cignetti, it makes a lot of sense in his approach to the portal, is that he wants guys that have a proven track record, and they can evaluate that. So that's the key component with him. So with these guys that have come in, they've evaluated them. They've been able to see them play on tape. They've been able to see them play against other competition. I mean, JMU played Virginia. I can't remember who else they played last year. So they've played some big-time talent. And they, these kids played against some of the big-time players out there. Now, the one they got that everybody's talking about, and I think this is a huge get for them at corner, is D'Angelo Pounds. This kid, true freshman at JMU last year, he lit it up. He's just special. I mean, it's easy to say that this kid can play the game because he was sought after by every SEC school that you can imagine. He's a cover corner. He can lock you down. He's got great ball skills. He plays with great position. I'll throw on some video here. Here, let me get it up of him. And now these are going to be highlights. So, like I said, I've never seen a bad highlight in all the years that I coached. But one of those guys that they're going to love, Coach Haynes is going to love, because he plays, he's hitting, and everything that the kid does is great technique, like right there, breaking down in open field, making the play, all those things. I think those are the important parts of it. Again, closing speed, does a great job. And again, like I said, these are highlights. They're going to make the kid's going to look good at them. We're not going to sit here and break down every play he played, but for him to come out of the high school ranks and step into JMU and be the factor that he was for their defense, and then for Coach Cignetti, Coach Haynes, the defensive coaches, to get the kid to come to Indiana when he's getting recruited by every SEC team in the country, I think that's a big-time get. This is one of those kids that is a big-time get, and he was at JMU because he got overlooked. I mean, that's what some of these kids that are good ball players get overlooked because they only have so many spots. They don't have, a need for that right now. But, you get a kid like this kid that's going to come in, I think provides instant credibility in your secondary. He creates some depth there, but he also has played in the defense, and I think that's huge. When you can play on the defense that Coach Haynes puts together, and he's come out of it after playing 1 year in it, it says a lot in that regard, because this kid, I think, can get it done, and I think he's going to be a kid that steps in right away and is a big factor in the defense for next year. But we'll have to see. But, I would say right now, Indiana is done in the portal unless they can get a kid up front in the D-line that they need from a depth perspective. I don't know if that's a continual thing that they're going to get with that, but we'll have to wait and see with everything and go from there. But Pounds was a definite explanation point on that recruiting class through the portal, and I think the Hoosiers did a good job of addressing what they needed. From the standpoint, it was defense. They needed defensive bodies, And I think they did that with some players that'll come in and compete for starting positions. So can't say they didn't do what they needed to do there. They got what they wanted, and we'll have to wait and see the verdict on all these transfers, because like I said, they've had 28, 29, I think maybe even more than that, maybe in the 30s, with the number of transfers that they brought in his first year. And right now, their focus is the 26 class. They're starting that right now. They're out recruiting the month of May all over the country. June will be a big camp month where they'll have kids coming on campus to work out in front of them, do 7-on-7, run whatever drills they want to put them through to see if there's a kid that they want to add an additional offer to, or ones that they did offer and they want to try to get him to commit on their campus visit. And you're going to have kids that come here that are undecided, and they're coming up to do maybe their official at that time. So right now, if you look at the way the calendar lies, you've got for the coaches right now, they're looking at the 26 and 27 class that's out there, and doing their due diligence, especially on the 27s, because they probably feel pretty good where they're at with the 26th. Then they'll come off the road, and then they'll hit it pretty hard in the month of June with their camps. They'll take a little time off in July, and then the latter part, middle of July, they'll be back at it and getting ready for the season to start. So, there's not much time left, because when you really look at it, once you get to the end of May, you get about 4 weeks before you're back at it and you're preparing for camp. And it's crazy how fast it can go, but that's how fast it can go in that regard. But the other thing that everybody's got to keep an eye on here is the NIL stuff, because right now, this collective bargaining, they're talking about, sharing of bowl game proceeds, and the NCAA is facing a $2.9 billion judgment against them for the name and image and likeness stuff, and they're trying to get this settled in terms of our keeping athletes not employees of an institution. So there's a lot is going on with the NIL and everything right now. It's a little bit of the wild, wild west, because anybody and everybody, boosters, third parties out there, they can contribute to the NIL. I mean, they can give schools the money, they can get the kids the money. And right now it's a little bit of the wild, wild west. So that's the one thing that you got to watch with the NIL and what happens with that. That what I would think is going to happen is, again, I think they want the NIL to be in-house and not on the outside of the periphery of the athletic department. I think they want it underneath them. So there's some command and control there. And Thursday night, we're going to have Tyler Harris come on and talk about the Hoosier Connect and kind of some of the things they do with that, and get his insights on all of this and how it may be going. But the NCAA wants to rectify this situation. Of course, they don't want to have to shell out, millions of dollars for damages because they didn't allow kids to utilize their own image and likeness and make money from that. And right now, everything is stacked against them. You got Congress involved, which is another bad thing, because as we know, nothing gets done in Congress, and there's no big push to get it done. And you've got antitrust laws that have to be addressed with the NCAA. It's just getting to the point now where it's starting to, pile up and getting to it. The other thing that's on the horizon with these super conferences, there's a possibility that could come into play, where they would work their own television deals and such. But I know that Trev Alberts, who's now the AD at A&M, has said that they've added an extra $20 million to their operational budgets already for next year, thinking this stuff with the NCAA is going to get settled, and that's going to be the lion's share that people are going to get for their athletic departments. So it's a very fluid situation. We'll get some insight from Tyler Harris hopefully on Thursday evening, but those are the things that you've got to keep an eye on here over the next few days and weeks here through the summer on what is all going to shape up with the NIL. Where is the NCAA involved in all this? Are they going to continue to be involved in all this with everything at the highest levels of competition? So there's a lot of uncertainty in that arena as the direction that this is going to go, and you just got to keep a close eye on it. And I follow it because it's something I did for 30 some odd years, and I love the game of college football, and I would hate for it to get so to the point where it's stripped down to the point where we don't recognize it anymore as being what college football is all about on a Saturday afternoon or evening. Again, just a reminder, Thursday night, Tyler Harris is going to join me from Hoosier Connect. We're going to talk a little bit, like I said, about NIL and everything that the Hoosier Connect is doing. They're a little unique in what they've done with the players, and I think it's pretty cool on what they've been able to establish with that, and we'll get his insight on all of that. But again, Hoosiers, you got to give Coach Signetti and his staff credit. They've addressed some needs with some big-time recruits that have come on in, and I think the addition of Logan, the kid from UMass, the linebacker, you've got D'Angelo Pons, the kid from the cornerback from JMU. That was kind of the explanation point. DJ Warnell Jr., kid from Arizona, and then of course another JMU transfer, Solomon Van Horst, who's a little bit of a everything, but more or less a return man that I think can add to the electricity of special teams potentially, because I do think he's got that ability to do that. So right now, like I said, the coaches are finishing up their May recruiting with the 26-27 class and watching kids work out. They'll be back on campus for June when you got kids from all over the country coming into camp at Indiana for a day camp. And then, of course, that word of we're getting ready for fall camp is right around the corner. Come about July the 15th, 16th, they'll be hitting it hard because it'll be about 2 weeks before the kids come in. So stay tuned to us. We'll bring you everything we can and keep you up to date with everything throughout the summer as we head into the season. We'll do some things with that, maybe get some film study in before the season starts on how you may see coaches break down film and everything. It's one of those things, it's unique that I think if you knew the hours involved that coaches put into not just the film study of everything, but watching film and stuff, I hope I can bring some of that to you, and we can break down some of JMU's defense from last year and what they did. What does make Brian Haynes an effective defensive coordinator? What did he do at JMU that made JMU, 1-2 in the rush defense for the last 2 years? And offensively, what do they do that's made them a predominant offense that's averaged 34, 35 points a game? So stick tuned. I try to do something at least once a week, maybe twice a week. Like this week, we're going to have Tyler Harris come on and do some things there with the Hoosier Connect. Remember, you can catch me each and every Thursday morning with my friend Jim Coyle as we talk on the Indiana Sports Beat Radio Network each and every Thursday morning at 8:30 or 8:50, I should say. Man, I'm cheating myself. 20 minutes of sleep. 8:50 on Thursday mornings. We talk a little bit of IU football. Of course, you can find that on YouTube or throughout the radio network that you may have in your own town. Remember, if you could get on over to the YouTube page, follow there, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all those things help and let you know when we'll be live, and follow us here on Hoosier Tailgate, or my individual handle at CoachGriff55. Really appreciate Bet Online and their sponsorship of the show tonight, and really appreciate all the things they do for us. But here at Hoosier Football Tailgate, until Thursday, I'm the coach, Shannon Griffith. This has been the Hoosier Football Tailgate right here on the Believe Network.